Hello, Internet, and welcome to another Spider wrap up where I'm going to be looking at some of the recent Spider related issues and just talk webs. Let's do this. Alright, so first up is ASM 794. So, Threat Level Red Part 1. And. Uh, Already. Okay, so there's a chunk of something going on here. It's been announced. This is the rundown. This is the countdown to Slot's run on ASM, which, if you're willing to take in one form or another, is a decade long and will be with the culmination of this run. That's something. Um, and here we have this issue that primarily is addressing wrapping up something from the Zodiac arc from the Parker Industry days, and that they lock someone away because he had the knowledge of a year, and the year's coming up, and he escapes at the last few hours and tries to make something happen, and Spider-Man wings it, kind of cursing himself, saying, I had a whole year to prepare, and here we are. It's kind of how me is that. Um, it's I don't know. It's a fun little action beat. We have yeah, Imminent on the book, and Christus Gage is helping out. Like, this is like the full ASM team from a while now, and I've heard that Slot said if he was going to wrap up his Spider-Man run, he had a story that he had planned for a while, and he wanted Imminent to do it. So we're here. This is happening. This is something. There's some of the announcements, previews, whatever, say that this is a story 10 years in the making. Bull. But it doesn't matter. I mean, so far this is interesting, but the truth is, I don't feel like this is part one of any real thing. There is something on the last couple of pages that leads into a big thing, and if you haven't read it, I don't want to spoil it. It's gonna be core to whatever the next issue is. I'm sure of it. And at the very end, we have some unfortunate little bit with Wolverine's reappearance, where it's literally the last page. Since this comic, the Zodiac thing takes place in London, and they mess up Big Ben. Wolverine apparently is there, and he just says to himself, "It's not time." I don't know. I feel like they're just inserting these Wolverine pages in random places to try to hype up whatever that is. It's a throwaway. I just wanted to talk about it because it's so inane and weird, but they kind of work it in anyways. I don't know. So I don't know. This was a fun little issue to wrap up a little note of the run for going forward, and it's been addressed, so we don't have this hanging chad, which I enjoy. But what's more interesting right now about this book is how it's going to end and then where it's going to go. And I'm so excited, and ever since Clone Conspiracy, I've been 100% on board for Slot, and now I'm going to be 100% on board through the end. And it just kind of sucks that this last little chunk's going to be brought down by Venom Inc., just kind of being this throwaway thing. And we'll see who gets it next. I have some hopes. I've heard some different theories, and there's just one guy I really hope it isn't. And after that, I don't care. They could give it to anyone else, pretty much. I'm curious. I'm excited to see where it's going to go. Okay, guys. Spider-Man 28 was a kick in the pants. This reminds me why I've been reading this book. This reminds me why people gravitated towards it. This reminds me why this was such a great book. There's so many elements being played with here, and so much came to a head. And what's funny is this was a quieter issue. this is retelling Daredevil where he becomes the villain in this series, and we get to see his origin remixed. And man, there's so much here, and there's even a page with Gwen, and then the rest of the Mary Janes. There's a bit about her in order to take down Murdoch. She's saying she thinks she can do it, but she's going to have to let go of a part of herself, which is playing with the whole Gwenom thing. And it's playing this idea with the Venom symbiote, like, it's a symbiote. It wants a bit of her soul in exchange for the power, and she's seeing the need for it right now, which is playing off the fact that she doesn't necessarily have her powers anymore. We've been dancing around that left and right. And we're seeing consequences and bad decisions being made for reasons that you or I would probably buckle to, because what else do you do? It's a little bit of bad, and a little bit of bad on the hero, them taking that so that they can do the right thing for others in general and around them. It's the heroic decision, but it has real consequences. It's taking the symbiote idea, and they've built it up and they've played with it. And so when she says this, it has some bearing, but now she's making a choice to not let it go, but to lean in on it. And this is all done in a few pages there. Most of this is building up Daredevil and retelling that origin in a way that builds him up to where you're going, oh, 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 that's darker. Like, when the radioactive waste hits, he still had his mom. She dies in that hit, and she wants to reach out to him, and she spreads the waste over his eyes because she's feeling for him, and you're just like, oh, okay. I don't know if that means a lot, but oh, I got something out of that. I felt that. Um, there's so much in this issue. This is an amazing issue, and if you're a Daredevil fan, you have to pick this up because it's one of the best alternate Daredevil stories ever. Just Spider-Gwen's going to be a thing. I've heard some rumblings this might be everything coming to a head with all the other books kind of being canceled or whatnot. I know Spider-Gwen isn't as strong as it once was, so, and the creators have been on this for a while, and they might be wanting to move on to something else. So I don't know, this book might actually be hitting a solid ending, which in some ways would be better than it continue to go, because then we get this strong story that can sit on the shelf. And for those of you who have not, oh, you can in a beautiful way, and it will be all put together, and you'll have a hell of a read. Alright, guys, Scarlet Spider 13, The Slinger's Return, the final. I you know, we get some heaven and hell in here, we get some demon, we get some mix up, but this is such a 90s kids comic. This is just still lovely to see. This is playing on so many things I love, and the setup for the next chunk is them going after Mysterio, which, if you guys have seen me talk with Sleepy Reader, I have a newly developed passion for Mysterio. I'm excited to read the next Mysterio installment, especially because one of the best and one of the few only quality Mysterio stories was written by Peter David, and I look forward to him returning. And with it being Peter David, I wonder which Mysterio it's going to be, because not only did Peter David be the one to write the intersection of the previous two Mysterios, he brought in a third, just because why not? So I am just, I'm loving this book. I'm wondering where it's going, but what's annoying to me right now is I'm worried because they set it up for the Slingers to be kind of supporting cast in this book, and if they don't return, it's going to feel like they just kind of drop them off. So we'll see how that goes. I don't even know if that's a thing to worry about yet or not, though. This has just been a delightful read. This was a fun wrap-up that plays on a kind of fun way, although I did notice a lot of the characters kind of have Peter David's reverent humor throughout them, so they kind of lose individual voices. That's been one of my biggest complaints with the book so far, but that's pretty much it. So we're more healthily into the 8 years later bit of Renew Your Vows, and it's hard to parse because there's no way to ignore the fact that this book took a step down, and a lot of people are bashing it left and right. Whereas it isn't what it once was right now. There's our new creators and relatively unknown creators trying to find their feet in a fairly dicey book. Um, for the writer, this is, you have to compare yourself to Gary Conway playing his A game with years of experience, and then you have who's this? Roche doing pencils, and on a book where there's so many characters, and there's a lot of good stuff in here, but there's definitely some moments where some details or focus gets lost. In particular, Spiderling doesn't seem to be rendered as strongly as she has in the past. I think the colorist is doing a fine job and all that, but this book is fun. It really answers a lot about the last issue, and this is setting up something interesting with a new villain and playing on some mythology in an interesting way. I really feel like this is moving forward in an exciting way, and I'm worried because a lot of people have pointed out this book's probably on its last legs as well. And I think that's a shame because I think this is a great book, and I think it's elevating newer creators to do better work. And I'm hoping with a couple more issues they get their legs under them and this thing starts just hidden again. Part of the problem of today's comic culture is, these things are $4. There's so much, and things are supposed to happen so fast, and we never get a quiet issue. We never give a few issues for things to build. We don't seem to have much room for mistakes to happen, even small ones. And comics used to be fun because there used to be a few more small mistakes, but bigger ones in an issue, and things were so decompressed that you didn't have multiple things happening in an issue. Not everything had to hit every issue. And so now it's like each issue has to be this product through and through, and it doesn't flow that way. So I'm hoping this book picks up some better flow. I'm enjoying it nonetheless. I truly am enjoying it much more so than a number of books on my pull. And so, I don't know. I really think Renew Your Vows still has potential to be a fun book to read. But if they don't kind of respond and build a bit more off of what happened previously, what can you do?